Hi, everyone. I'm Colleen Stanley, President of Sales Leadership, and thanks for visiting our website. When you go to a website, there's a lot of content to look at, and the overarching question is, what does this company do? Well, we actually work in two areas, and you can see by the books behind me, those are the areas we work in. The first is we're often brought in to work with your sales team, to teach emotional intelligence skills, the soft skills that absolutely drive hard revenue. I like to frame this up in the 3E concept. The first E is emotion management. And as a very good mentor of mine taught me years ago, if you are not stable, you are not able. And if you have a sales team that's always getting emotionally triggered, they're not able to recall or execute the wonderful hard skills, the consultative selling skills that you've taught them. We give them the tools how to remain calm in chaos. The second E is emotional self-awareness, because that which you're not aware of, you cannot change. And this is where you'll see salespeople making repeated selling mistakes. For example, if someone's not aware of when impulse control gets in the way of performance, well, they often talk too much during a sales meeting, even when you've taught them the good discovery questions. Lack of assertiveness leads to getting ghosted or not getting meetings with the right decision makers, resulting in a lot of proposals that are only practice proposals. And finally, the final E is empathy. When you think about it, we've all heard the definition. It's knowing and caring about what somebody else is thinking or feeling. And the question we must all ask ourselves is, how can we possibly think a sales professional can influence someone if they don't know what they're thinking or feeling? Without developing empathy skills, salespeople miss a lot of the nonverbal cues in a meeting, and that's where deals get stalled. Now, the second area we work with is sales management. And often we're brought in because, well, you've seen the movie, you've heard the story. Top sales producer gets promoted to sales management, only to realize there are entirely different skills needed to lead and develop a team. And one of those skills is transferring the knowledge, habits, attitude that made them a top performer. So we'll come in and work with your sales management team and teach them training and coaching skills. And there is a difference between training and coaching. If you're like me as a former VP of sales, where I directed a team of 130, I was always a pretty good trainer. However, I was defaulting to always telling people what to do rather than having them do that powerful self-discovery of asking. Another area we get brought in to teach is mentorship, creating these cultures and mindset of mentorship. We wrote this book because I was fortunate when I was in corporate to have some terrific mentors. I've had good mentors all my life. And I know when you have good mentors, they accelerate growth. They increase employee retention and engagement. And here's a little secret. Mentorship doesn't have to be something else you put on your to-do list. You don't have to have a big office or a big title to provide mentorship. In the book, in the workshops, in the keynote, we talk about how mentorship can happen in a moment, in one conversation. So I hope you'll reach out to us to find out a little bit more about how we can help your sales team improve the conversations. Because after all, isn't that what life is about? Improving the conversations we have with ourselves and with others. Thanks for tuning in.